There comes a moment in every woman's life when heartbreak tries to convince her that she's not enough. Someone walks away, breaks promises, or makes her question her worth. But the greatest mistake you can make is allowing someone else's choices to define your value. Pain can either become the reason you stay broken, or it can become the reason you discover the strongest version of yourself. This isn't about getting revenge or proving anything to the person who hurt you. It's about rebuilding your confidence, protecting your peace, and becoming a woman who never settles for less than she deserves. When you choose growth over bitterness, your success speaks louder than your pain, and that's the moment everything changes. One of the hardest truths a woman will ever face is realizing that the way someone treated her has nothing to do with her value. When someone walks away, stops appreciating your efforts, or makes you feel invisible, it's easy to believe that you somehow weren't enough. You begin questioning everything. Was I too caring? Was I too emotional? Did I love too much? Should I have been quieter, prettier, more successful, more patient? Those questions can keep you awake at night, but they all point in the wrong direction. The real question isn't what was wrong with you. The real question is why you allowed someone else's opinion to become the measure of your worth. Your value existed long before that relationship began, and it will continue to exist long after it ends. It wasn't created by his compliments, and it wasn't destroyed by his rejection. Too many women hand over the keys to their confidence without even realizing it. They wait for someone else to tell them they're beautiful before they believe it. They wait to be chosen before they feel special. They wait for someone to notice their sacrifices before they feel appreciated. But the moment your confidence depends on another person, you're giving them power they were never meant to have. Think about the incredible woman you were before you met him. You had dreams, talents, kindness, laughter, and a future waiting for you. You had people who loved you. You had goals that excited you. Somewhere along the way, you started making one person the center of your world. That's easy to do when you love deeply. Love naturally makes you invest your time, your emotions, and your energy. There's nothing wrong with loving wholeheartedly. The mistake happens when you forget to love yourself with that same intensity. Many women become experts at taking care of everyone else while slowly neglecting themselves. They remember everyone else's birthdays, but forget their own happiness. They encourage everyone else to chase their dreams while putting their own goals on hold. They become so busy proving they're worthy of love that they stop asking whether they're receiving the love they deserve. That's not what healthy love looks like. Healthy love doesn't require you to shrink yourself so someone else can feel bigger. It doesn't ask you to constantly prove your worth. It doesn't make you question whether you're enough every single day. Someone who truly values you won't leave you guessing where you stand. They won't make you compete for basic respect. They won't treat your kindness like a weakness or your loyalty like something ordinary. And if someone couldn't recognize the gift of having you in their life, that isn't evidence that you're lacking. It's evidence that not everyone has the ability to recognize real value. Imagine someone holding a priceless diamond without understanding what it is. They might throw it aside because they think it's just another rock. Does the diamond lose its value because one person failed to recognize it? Of course not. Its worth never changed. The only thing that changed was the understanding of the person holding it. The same is true for you. Someone's inability to appreciate your heart does not reduce the beauty of who you are. One of the strongest decisions you can make is to stop asking for acceptance from people who have already shown you they cannot give it. There is peace in accepting that not everyone will see your value, and that's okay. Your job isn't to convince people to love you correctly. Your job is to protect your heart and surround yourself with people who naturally appreciate the person you already are. Sometimes women stay in painful situations because they believe that if they love harder, give more, or sacrifice enough, things will eventually change. They hope that one more chance, one more conversation, or one more act of kindness will suddenly make someone realize what they've been missing. But love should never feel like an endless audition where you're constantly trying to earn a role you've already been playing. You deserve relationships where your presence is celebrated, not tolerated. You deserve conversations where your feelings matter. You deserve honesty instead of confusion, consistency instead of excuses, and peace instead of constant anxiety. When someone repeatedly shows you that they cannot offer those things, believing them is not giving up. It's respecting yourself enough to stop settling. There is something incredibly powerful about a woman who decides that her happiness is no longer dependent on being chosen. She wakes up differently. She carries herself differently. She stops chasing people who keep running away and starts chasing the life she truly wants. She invests in herself. She learns new things. She takes care of her body, her mind, and her spirit. She laughs again without feeling guilty. She remembers the dreams she placed on the shelf while trying to save a relationship that was slowly breaking her. Confidence isn't something another person gives you. It's something you build every single day through the promises you keep to yourself. Every time you set a boundary, your confidence grows. Every time you walk away from disrespect, your confidence grows. Every time you choose peace over drama, your confidence grows. Every time you forgive yourself for accepting less than you deserved, your confidence grows. The woman who knows her worth doesn't need to announce it. It shows in the way she carries herself. She doesn't chase attention because she isn't trying to fill an empty space inside her. She doesn't settle for crumbs because she knows she's worthy of a full meal. She doesn't fear being alone because she's learned that loneliness in a relationship hurts far more than solitude filled with self-respect. If someone hurt you, let that experience teach you instead of defining you. Let it sharpen your standards, not harden your heart. Keep your kindness, but pair it with wisdom. Keep your love, but protect it with boundaries. Keep believing in genuine relationships, but never forget that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. The day you truly understand that your value was never in someone else's hands is the day you become free. Free from constantly seeking approval. Free from chasing people who don't appreciate you. Free from believing that rejection means failure. And once you're free, you stop living to prove your worth to others. You simply live as the woman you were always meant to be, confident, strong, graceful, and fully aware that your value has never depended on anyone else's ability to see it. One of the most powerful things a woman can do after being hurt is to choose healing instead of revenge. The world often encourages people to make pain loud. It tells you to prove you're happier, prove you've moved on, prove you've won. But real growth doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause or validation. The strongest transformation happens quietly, in the moments when no one is watching, when you decide that your future is more important than your past. Healing is not something that happens overnight. It isn't a switch you flip one morning and suddenly everything feels normal again. Some days you'll wake up feeling strong, and other days a simple memory, a familiar song, or a place you once visited together may bring back emotions you thought were gone. That doesn't mean you're moving backward. It means you're human. Healing isn't a straight path. It's a journey with good days and difficult ones. But every step forward still counts. Many women make the mistake of trying to hide their pain instead of processing it. They smile when they're hurting. They tell everyone they're fine when they're falling apart inside. They distract themselves with endless work, social media, or unhealthy relationships because silence forces them to face emotions they've been avoiding. But buried pain doesn't disappear. It waits. The only way to truly move forward is to allow yourself to feel what you've been trying so hard to escape. There is strength in admitting that your heart is hurting. There is courage in saying, "This broke me, but it won't define me." You don't become weak because you cry. You become stronger because you're willing to face your emotions instead of pretending they don't exist. Tears are not signs of failure. Sometimes they are proof that your heart is making room for peace again. As you begin to heal, you'll realize that your energy is one of your greatest assets. Every minute spent checking someone's social media, replaying old conversations, or wondering whether they miss you is energy taken away from your own life. Imagine if you redirected all of that energy toward becoming the woman you've always wanted to be. Think about the books you could read, the skills you could learn, the business you could build, the career you could grow, the friendships you could strengthen, and the confidence you could develop. Growth begins when your focus changes. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you begin asking, "What can this experience teach me?" That single shift changes everything. Pain stops being your prison and starts becoming your teacher. Every difficult experience carries a lesson if you're willing to learn from it. This is the perfect time to invest in yourself. Read books that challenge your thinking. Learn something you've always wanted to know. Improve your financial knowledge. Take care of your physical health, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because your body deserves kindness and care. Go for walks, eat nourishing meals, sleep well, and give yourself the same attention you've spent giving everyone else. Don't underestimate the power of small daily habits. You don't need one giant breakthrough to change your life. You need consistent choices. Choosing to wake up a little earlier, choosing to drink more water, choosing to journal your thoughts instead of keeping them trapped inside, choosing to spend time with people who encourage your growth instead of feeding your pain. These small decisions may seem insignificant today, but over time, they create a completely different version of you. The people you surround yourself with matter more than you realize. During difficult seasons, pay close attention to who brings you peace and who brings you chaos. Real friends won't pressure you to rush your healing. They won't tell you to simply get over it. They'll remind you of your strength when you've forgotten it. They'll celebrate your progress no matter how small it seems. Those are the people worth keeping close. At the same time, don't be afraid to spend time alone. Solitude isn't loneliness. In fact, some of the greatest discoveries about yourself happen in quiet moments. When there's no one around to influence your decisions, you begin hearing your own voice again. You remember what makes you happy. You reconnect with your passions. You discover dreams that were buried beneath years of trying to please someone else. Healing also requires forgiveness, but perhaps not in the way most people think. Forgiveness isn't saying what happened was acceptable. It isn't pretending the hurt never existed. Forgiveness is choosing not to carry the weight of bitterness for the rest of your life. Anger may feel powerful at first, but eventually it becomes exhausting. Holding on to resentment keeps you connected to the very pain you're trying to escape. Letting go isn't about setting someone else free. It's about setting yourself free. As you continue growing, you'll notice something beautiful happening. Your confidence won't come from compliments anymore. It will come from your own progress. You'll smile because you're proud of yourself, not because someone else approved of you. You'll feel beautiful because you've learned to appreciate yourself, not because someone else noticed you. That kind of confidence cannot be taken away because it was built from within. The most surprising part of your journey is that the people who underestimated you often expect you to remain exactly where they left you. They assume you'll always be waiting, always hurting, always looking back. What they don't expect is to see a woman who used her heartbreak as fuel. A woman who became wiser instead of bitter, stronger instead of colder, more confident instead of more insecure. The greatest success after heartbreak isn't finding someone new immediately. It's becoming someone new yourself. A woman who understands her worth. A woman who sets healthy boundaries without guilt. A woman who no longer ignores red flags because she's afraid of being alone. A woman who values peace more than temporary attention. When you heal quietly, your life begins to speak for itself. Your confidence becomes visible in the way you carry yourself. Your happiness becomes genuine instead of forced. Your success becomes the result of countless private decisions nobody saw you make. People may look at your life one day and call you lucky, but they won't know about the nights you cried, the mornings you forced yourself to keep going, the moments you chose growth over giving up. Never underestimate the quiet work you're doing today. Every page you read, every healthy choice you make, every boundary you set, every tear you wipe away, and every dream you continue pursuing is shaping the woman you're becoming. One day you'll look back and realize that the season you thought would destroy you actually introduced you to the strongest version of yourself. And that woman won't need to prove anything to anyone, because her life will already be the proof that healing, patience, and personal growth are always worth the journey. One of the biggest reasons people stay trapped in heartbreak is because they spend too much time waiting for something that may never come. They wait for an apology. They wait for an explanation. They wait for one last conversation that they believe will finally make everything make sense. They convince themselves that if they could just hear the right words, all the pain would disappear. But life doesn't always give us the ending we hope for. Sometimes the chapter closes without answers, and learning to accept that is one of the greatest acts of emotional strength. It is natural to want closure after someone hurts you. When you've invested your time, your love, your loyalty, and your dreams into a relationship, your heart wants to understand why things changed. You replay conversations in your mind, searching for the exact moment everything went wrong. You wonder if there was something you could have done differently. You imagine different endings, hoping one of them will somehow change reality. But the more you live inside those thoughts, the more your present slips away from you. The truth is, not everyone is capable of giving you the closure you're looking for. Some people avoid difficult conversations because they don't want to face the consequences of their actions. Others simply don't have the emotional maturity to explain themselves honestly. And sometimes people move on without ever realizing the depth of the pain they caused. Waiting for them to suddenly become the person you needed only keeps you tied to a version of life that no longer exists. Your peace should never depend on someone else's willingness to apologize. If your healing requires another person's actions, then you're placing your happiness in hands you cannot control. Real freedom begins when you understand that closure is not something another person gives you. It is something you create for yourself. It is the decision to stop asking questions that have no answers and start investing your energy in building a future that excites you. There comes a moment when you have to choose between holding on to the past and opening the door to everything that still awaits you. You cannot fully embrace tomorrow while carrying yesterday on your shoulders every single day. The weight becomes too heavy. It drains your confidence, steals your joy, and keeps your heart focused on what was lost instead of what can still be gained. Every minute you spend wondering why someone left is a minute you could spend discovering more about yourself. Every hour spent rereading old messages could become an hour learning a new skill, improving your career, strengthening your health, or creating memories with people who genuinely care about you. Time is one of the few things you can never get back, Don't give too much of it to people who already chose not to value it. Many women believe that closure means hearing the words, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." While those words can be meaningful, they are not the only path to peace. Sometimes closure looks like accepting reality even when it hurts. It looks like recognizing that someone showed you exactly who they were through their actions. Actions always tell the truth more clearly than promises. If someone repeatedly disrespected your feelings, ignored your needs, or failed to value your presence, you already have the answers you need. Their behavior spoke louder than any explanation ever could. One of the most empowering things you can say to yourself is, "I don't need another conversation to know what I deserve." Those words shift your focus from seeking understanding to protecting your self-worth. They remind you that your future matters more than your unanswered questions. It also helps to remember that not every ending is a punishment. Some endings are protection. At first, losing someone may feel like the worst thing that could happen. But with time, you often realize you weren't losing your future, you were being redirected toward it. Had that relationship continued, perhaps you would have continued accepting less than you deserved. Perhaps you would have ignored your dreams, sacrificed your peace, or remained in a situation that slowly diminished your confidence. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually life making room for something healthier. Instead of asking why someone didn't choose you, begin asking how you can choose yourself every single day. Choose yourself by setting standards that protect your peace. Choose yourself by refusing to settle for inconsistent love. Choose yourself by investing in your education, your finances, your health, your passions, and your emotional well-being. Every decision that honors your value becomes another step away from heartbreak and another step toward the life you truly deserve. Your future deserves your attention. There are goals waiting to be accomplished, opportunities waiting to be discovered, friendships waiting to grow, and experiences waiting to shape you into an even stronger woman. Don't allow one painful chapter to convince you that your entire story has been written. Some of the most beautiful moments of your life haven't happened yet. As you begin creating your future, you'll notice something remarkable. The memories that once brought overwhelming sadness begin to lose their power, not because you've forgotten what happened, but because your present has become so meaningful that the past no longer controls your emotions. You become too busy building a life you love to constantly revisit the one that hurt you. Healing doesn't erase your memories. It changes your relationship with them. One day you'll think about that difficult season without feeling the same pain. Instead of seeing it as the moment your life fell apart, you'll recognize it as the moment your life began changing for the better. You'll see how much stronger you became, how much wiser your choices became, and how much deeper your respect for yourself grew. There's incredible peace in accepting what you cannot change. You cannot rewrite the past. You cannot force someone to become who they refuse to be. You cannot make people appreciate what they failed to recognize. But you can decide how you move forward. You can choose joy over bitterness. You can choose purpose over regret. You can choose growth over resentment. Every sunrise is a reminder that life continues to offer new beginnings. Every day gives you another opportunity to become a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little closer to the woman you are meant to be. Don't spend those precious opportunities waiting for someone else to give you permission to move on. The greatest form of closure is living a life that no longer revolves around the person who hurt you. It's waking up excited about your own dreams instead of wondering about theirs. It's smiling because you found peace within yourself, not because someone finally acknowledged your worth. It's reaching a place where your happiness no longer depends on an apology that may never come. Your story is far bigger than one heartbreak. Your future is far more important than one disappointment. And the moment you stop chasing closure from someone else is the moment you begin creating a life that gives you everything you were searching for all along: peace, confidence, purpose, and the unshakable belief that your best days are still ahead. There comes a point in every woman's life when she realizes that waiting for someone else to save her is keeping her from discovering her own strength. For so long, many women are taught that happiness will arrive when the right person comes along, when someone chooses them, loves them, and makes them feel complete. While love is one of life's greatest gifts, it should never become the foundation of your identity. The strongest version of yourself is not created by someone else's presence. She is created by the choices you make every single day, especially after life has tested you. When you've been hurt, it's easy to believe that you need someone else to repair the damage. You hope another relationship will erase the pain. You think a new beginning with someone else will make you forget the disappointment of the past. But healing doesn't work that way. If you don't take the time to rebuild yourself, you'll carry the same wounds into every new chapter. A different person cannot fix what only self-love and personal growth can heal. The woman you needed during your hardest days was never someone outside of you. She was the version of yourself who believed in you even when nobody else did. She was the one who reminded you that your tears didn't make you weak. She was the one who encouraged you to keep moving even when your heart felt heavy. She was the one who whispered that one painful chapter could never define an entire life. The beautiful truth is that woman has always existed inside you. Sometimes pain simply introduces you to her. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is kindness. It may sound simple, but many women speak to themselves more harshly than they would ever speak to another person. After a heartbreak, they blame themselves for everything. They criticize their appearance, question their personality, and replay every mistake until they convince themselves they were the problem. Imagine speaking to your closest friend the way you sometimes speak to yourself. You never would. You would comfort her. You would remind her of her beauty, her strength, and her worth. You deserve that same compassion from yourself. Your inner voice matters. Every day, you are having conversations with yourself, whether you realize it or not. If those conversations are filled with self-doubt, guilt, and criticism, your confidence will slowly disappear. But if you begin replacing those thoughts with encouragement, patience, and hope, you'll notice something incredible happening. You'll begin believing in yourself again. Confidence grows in the environment created by your own thoughts. Becoming the woman you needed also means learning to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep love out. They are doors that allow the right people in while protecting your peace from those who do not respect it. Too many women fear saying no because they don't want to disappoint others. They stay silent to avoid conflict. They tolerate disrespect because they're afraid of losing someone. But every time you abandon your own needs to make someone else comfortable, you teach people that your feelings don't matter. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not one-sided sacrifice. Never feel guilty for protecting your peace. You have every right to walk away from conversations that drain you, friendships that constantly take without giving, and relationships that require you to lose yourself just to keep them alive. Choosing yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. You cannot pour love into others if your own heart is constantly running empty. As you continue growing, you'll begin noticing the difference between attention and genuine care. Attention is temporary. It comes and goes depending on convenience. Genuine care is consistent. It shows up during difficult moments. It listens without judgment. It respects your boundaries. It celebrates your growth instead of feeling threatened by it. Once you've experienced healthy relationships, you'll never again mistake inconsistency for love. Another important lesson is learning that being alone is not something to fear. Society often makes women feel as though being single means something is missing. But solitude can become one of the most valuable seasons of your life. It gives you space to understand yourself without distractions. You learn what truly brings you joy. You discover interests you may have forgotten. You create routines that make you feel strong, healthy, and fulfilled. Most importantly, you realize that your happiness doesn't depend on another person's presence. When you're comfortable with your own company, you stop accepting relationships simply because you're afraid of loneliness. You become more patient. You stop rushing into situations that don't feel right. You raise your standards because you know peace is too valuable to trade for temporary companionship. That confidence changes the way you approach every relationship in your life. Being the woman you once needed also means forgiving yourself. Many women carry guilt for staying too long, ignoring warning signs, or trusting someone who eventually disappointed them. They constantly think, I should have known better. But you made decisions based on the information and emotions you had at that time. You loved sincerely. You believed in someone. Those are not things to be ashamed of. Instead of punishing yourself for your past, thank yourself for having the courage to love, and then thank yourself again for finding the courage to walk away when necessary. Life has a remarkable way of turning painful experiences into valuable wisdom. The lessons you learn through heartbreak often become the standards that protect your future. You begin recognizing red flags sooner. You become more honest about your needs. You stop confusing effort with potential. Instead of hoping someone will change, you start accepting people for who they consistently show themselves to be. That wisdom is one of the greatest gifts pain can offer. Your dreams deserve attention too. For many women, relationships become the center of life, leaving personal ambitions waiting in the background. But your purpose matters. Whether it's building a career, starting a business, learning a new skill, traveling, helping others, creating art, or simply becoming healthier and happier, your goals deserve your commitment. A fulfilled woman doesn't stop dreaming because someone disappointed her. She dreams even bigger because she understands that her future belongs to her. As your confidence grows, you'll notice that your definition of success changes. Success is no longer about proving someone wrong or making someone regret losing you. It becomes about waking up with peace in your heart. It's about smiling without pretending. It's about looking in the mirror and recognizing the woman staring back at you with pride instead of doubt. It's about building a life that feels meaningful regardless of who is standing beside you. The strongest women are not those who have never experienced pain. They are the ones who refuse to let pain become their identity. They allowed themselves to cry, but they also allowed themselves to heal. They acknowledged their heartbreak, but they didn't build a home inside it. They chose growth over resentment, wisdom over bitterness, and hope over fear. One day you'll look back on the woman you used to be, the one who questioned her worth, chased explanations, and waited for someone else to make her feel enough. Instead of feeling ashamed, you'll feel compassion for her. You'll realize she was simply doing the best she could with what she knew. Then you'll smile because you'll also see how far you've come. You'll see a woman who stands with confidence, protects her peace, loves herself without conditions, and understands that her greatest strength was never found in someone else's love. It was found in her decision to become the woman she always needed. And in doing so, she discovered a life filled with purpose, dignity, self-respect, and a happiness that no one can ever take away.